How does a tiny island home to only 300 people with no airport and that is only accessible by boat have two of the most famous beach bars in the world?
Every day, people cross international borders to reach it, to experience just a few hours here, with some even coming all this way just to try one particular drink.
Of course, we had to find out what all the fuss was about, but once we arrived, we quickly realised there's far more to Jost Van Dyke than its famous bars and cocktails. We've just picked up our little rental car. The island isn't that big, but we definitely need a car to get around. We've come first of all to Great Harbour, which is this sandy street right on the beach. Look at this. This is like beautiful. Is that not heaven? Wow.
Honestly, it feels like stepping back in time here, or as though you've been dropped onto a movie set with all these colourful buildings.
Walking along this sandy road, you really do get the feeling of how small this island is. Like, there's no heavy traffic, there's no hustle and bustle and crowds. Like, I'm literally walking on the beach basically, but this is like one of the main roads of the island. Oh, the sea is right there. You can just sit on one of these benches all day. It's just amazing. After wandering along Great Harbour, we stopped for some breakfast, which gave us a minute to contemplate what it must have been like here after Hurricane Irma. It's hard to believe that most of the buildings in this little village were obliterated by one of the most powerful hurricanes ever just 9 years ago. We are always in awe of the resilience of Caribbean communities to be able to come back stronger after natural disasters like this.
What we loved about Great Harbour was that it gave us a glimpse of real day-to-day life on Jost Van Dyke. It's still incredibly sleepy with only a handful of people around, but it feels lived in, and as we'd soon discover, that isn't the feeling you get everywhere on the island.
The breakfast that we just had was really nice actually. We haven't had Johnny cakes since we were in St. Lucia. I think St. Lucia was the last time we had them. They're like pancakes, they're like doughy. They taste like donuts if you're British, like, you know, the donuts that you get like on the beach, 5 in a paper bag for like, well, it used to be like £1. They're probably not £1 anymore. They taste a little bit like that, and then it had like the scrambled egg. It was really, really good. Even though Jost is a tiny 3 square miles in size, walking is definitely not an option. The island is volcanic and steep, and we would have paid even more for a taxi and still not seen all the places we wanted to.
We rented the car, the Jimny, from I think the only place you can rent a car from on Jost, Paradise Jeep Rentals. It was about $70 for the day. This car is literally brand new. It's done like less than 1,000 miles. Can definitely recommend, even though it is a bit expensive for a day rate.
We're now driving along the coastline. I'm going to try and hunt down this place called Bubbly Pool. We thought Great Harbour was sleepy, but as we drove east away from the village, it got quieter and quieter. So quiet that we found ourselves at the end of a sandy track on the edge of a mangrove with no other people in sight. Why does it feel like a wasteland?
It does, doesn't it? It feels like the end of the world. We've driven from Great Harbour to the northeast of the island, and you sort of notice how sparsely populated it is. 300 to 400 people live on Jost, and it's only like 3 square miles, but most of the hillsides are just bare. Like, there's hardly any houses, just nothing around.
This little area, I feel like it would be a really good place to go camping. It's like really peaceful, there's loads of nature around. The beaches are like scattered with driftwood. It feels like a nature reserve. Not that I go camping very often. Ever.
When's the last time you went camping?
I think the last time I went camping I was about 12. If I was to imagine what camping is like, this would feel like a nice place to go camping. I don't actually know if you're even allowed to camp. You know the vibe, I'm just getting the camping vibe. No, I don't think it's very deep. Basically, we've got to the edge of the shore, and I think we have to wade through here. The path continues there, and then the Bubbly Pool where we want to end up is over there. So yeah, I guess let's just
Shoes off.
Shoes off and go for it.
following the trail through the mangrove and crossing the salt pond, about 10 minutes later, we arrived at the Bubbly Pool.
This place gets its name because the waves crash through the rocks and create jacuzzi-like bubbles as they flow into the tidal pool on the other side. It's gorgeous. It's way prettier than I thought it would be. I thought it would be just like a little like rocky bit, but it's like an actual pool. The way that the rocks all curve up there, it's really quite impressive.
Today it's actually the not very bubbly pool. You're supposed to come at high tide, and high tide was 4 minutes ago. But it seems we're here on the calmest day of the year. More of a relaxing little pool than a wave crashing pool.
Sadly, there was no swell and the water was quite calm, but it's still beautiful nonetheless, and we had it all to ourselves. What's it like?
Nothing.
Okay, there's a wave coming. You might get some bubbles now.
Nope.
Oh, no. We've seen videos of the waves like crashing here. There was a massive wave and I missed it on the camera.
I wouldn't call it massive.
It was quite big. Here we go. Here we go. Oh. It's really anticlimactic, isn't it?
You very briefly get involved.
I wasn't expecting that! That's so cool! Oh my god! Just before we leave, I wanted to show you the Jost sign. This is in such a random place. Like, you would expect this to be somewhere near White Bay, to be honest, because that's like where everybody goes, but this is a really gorgeous spot and I love the artwork on this. It's just so pretty. Even on the side here, there's little deck chairs. If you've seen our Virgin Gorda vlog, you'll know that each of the main BVI islands has its own sign. We weren't expecting to find this one all the way out here, but with these insane views across Tortola, Little Jost Van Dyke and Sandy Key, and it being at the start of one of the island's most unique attractions, it does make perfect sense why they chose this spot.
I don't know what else. I don't know if to risk this. Do we risk it? We're going to the highest point on the island. The road's really bad. It's more of a dirt track, but obviously when it rains it gets washed away. And I don't know if it's worth the risk. It seems to be that all the Caribbean islands that we go to, the roads are so bad. The roads in Dominica, if you've seen our vlogs from there, they were just so terrible. So what have we decided to do? We're going to go and try a different route, and hopefully it's a little bit better. One of the things I've loved about driving around Jost so far is everywhere you look there is a view of another island. I'm just looking right now, like look at that, you see in the distance, and you can see like the beautiful white sand beaches of the islands, the boats like sailing to and from. It's just so freaking gorgeous. That was definitely a better drive up, wasn't it? Yeah.
And it only took like a few minutes from the bottom of Great Harbour.
Where we stopped was over there.
What?
For that hill.
There?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're about to go all the way down and then back up this horrible dirt track, which looked in a lot worse condition than the one we've just driven up.
This better be worth it. I'm so hot. I feel like I'm in the middle of the desert. There's like no shade. No leaves on any of the trees because there's been no rain in the BVI recently. So what happened to get here?
We got to the telephone tower and there was a little trail to go around the back. We've ended up at these rocks.
Well, they're more like boulders, to be honest. They're absolutely huge. We want to see a 360-degree view. We're not quite there yet, but we're trying to figure out like which way, how to get to like the tallest boulder, which looks like it's just behind Jack over there. And we're gonna have to scramble, and we're both wearing flip-flops. No, I'm just saying be careful. I don't know what is the other side of that. Oh my god.
Paranoid much?
Well, this is it. Made it.
Where are we?
Top of Jost.
We made it!
There are over 150 islands and keys in the British Virgin Islands and US Virgin Islands, and with the view from up here you can see your fair share of them. And even if you don't fancy the climb to the actual summit, the view from where we parked the car was pretty spectacular too. We're making a quick stop to grab a drink and see what the only shop on the island is like. See how it supports 300 to 400 people. Just one tiny little shop, which looks like it's also part of what was once a bar. Maybe it still is.
Doesn't seem to be a lot in here, does there? We're just walking down to one of the most iconic places in the BVI. This place has actually won awards for being one of the best beach bars in the Caribbean. What did you say?
It's busy.
Hi, can I get 2 painkillers, please?
Sure. Right. Welcome to the Soggy Dollar Bar, home of the original Painkiller. Here we use our own Soggy Dollar Gold rum. In the island, we serve more rum, more fun. We have our secret mix, orange, pineapple, coconut cream. Then you have the fresh nutmeg. If it's not fresh nutmeg, it's not a real painkiller. You better believe that. We got one here waiting for you. Come get your painkiller soon.
Believe it or not, this is not an ad, but this place is definitely such a vibe.
Soggy Dollar Bar is on White Bay, which is probably one of the most well-known and well-loved beaches in the BVI, and honestly, it's ridiculously beautiful. The beach is protected by an offshore reef, so the water is shallow, calm, and almost this unreal shade of turquoise. It's very easy to see why so many people come here.
Okay, we're gonna try this painkiller. Oh, you've already had some.
Yes, I have.
You like it?
I like it.
It's got coconut in it, so I think I'll like it. But I'm also not like a very big drinker, so anything that's like a tiny bit strong, I'm like, oh.
Is it a no from you?
I can taste the coconut and the creaminess, which I do like. Other than that, like if it had no alcohol in it, it would be a nice drink. Does that make sense? The alcohol makes it like I'm not that big of a fan. But cheers. Years and years ago, the way that people would get to the bar and pay for a drink is by swimming from their boat to the bar, and that's why the bar is called Soggy Dollar, because by the time you got there, all of your dollars were wet and soggy. Quite a fun fact actually, and not one that I think many people are aware of. And this is actually still relevant today because there's still no dock on the beach. People come here every day just for the bars and cocktails. In fact, this small section of White Bay has become so famous that it shaped the reputation of the entire island. But if you walk just a few minutes away from the busiest bars, the beach is quieter, emptier, and it's almost hard to believe you're still in the same place. It's amazing how the reputation of one beach bar can shape the way people see an entire island, even though Jost Van Dyke has so much more to it.
We've left Soggy Dollar Bar, even though it is the best beach bar in the Caribbean apparently. We're going to go somewhere else for lunch. Very, very busy, and we think it might be a long wait. And with only a few hours left in Jost, we're getting a bit hungry as well.
I keep thinking I'm going to fall into you. I'm like this.
That's what one painkiller will do to Lauren.
This place looks so cool. I love the bright green chair. Like,
The what? The bright green
chair. Hi, good afternoon. Hi. You're serving food? Sure. Okay, thank you. So far, I love this place.
To escape the crowds of Soggy Dollar Bar, we went next door to the much more relaxed Gertrude's.
We ordered the same, which is very unlike us, right?
Even though we'd only gone a few steps down the beach, it felt like a completely different place. Soggy Dollar Bar is great if you want a lively party atmosphere, but it sort of feels like you could be anywhere in the world. Gertrude's brought us back to the laid-back Caribbean we know and love.
What brought you to the BVI?
Work.
How long have you been here now?
6 years.
Yeah? Are you going to go back to Grenada?
Every year.
You go back every year?
Yes.
I love that. Well, thank you for being so good to us.
Thank you for coming. It was great having you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you haven't guessed by now, we usually prefer a quieter beach, like some of the ones we had all to ourselves on Virgin Gorda, but we have to say you can't visit the British Virgin Islands and not visit White Bay.
There's a lot of boats that have been wrecked, obviously, like during probably Hurricane Irma, that are just around, and it's a shame because it just makes it look quite messy. Before leaving Jost, we had to make one last stop at the other famous beach bar on the island.
Believe it or not, this place was actually the place to be on New Year's Eve. One of like the top 10, I think, places in the world to be on New Year's Eve. You can kind of see why. It's perfectly positioned on Great Harbour, and the bar is like a bit of a vibe. I don't think it's that well known for New Year's anymore, but at one point it was. We've seen pictures of it being absolutely heaving, like so many people here, amazing firework display.
The natural sheltered harbours of the island have attracted sailors dating back to pirates in the 1600s. But by the 1960s there were more tourists than pirates, so Foxy decided to tap into that by opening this bar so passers-by could come ashore, giving a much needed boost to the local economy.
We have our boarding passes. I'm a bit sad to leave. I don't want to leave. But we are going back to Tortola, so not all is bad, and there's still a lot of fun to be had on this trip.
And just like that, we're back in Tortola. Day in Jost done. I think we tried to squeeze too much in, to be honest, and we didn't really get to spend enough time enjoying the things we really wanted to do, which was probably spend a bit more time at White Bay. I'd give a miss going up to the summit of Jost. You get pretty amazing views all around the island anyway. We still had a good day, right?
Yeah, I loved it. I'm so tired now. I need a shower, I feel so salty. But yeah, I had a really good day. We came to Jost Van Dyke wondering how such a small island had earned such a huge reputation. Now we understand. The famous bars and beaches might be what bring people here, but after spending a day exploring, we wonder if you'll agree that there's more to this place than drinking a cocktail or two.
Join us next time as we explore the biggest island in the British Virgin Islands, discover incredible beaches, sail to the best snorkeling spots, and find out what life is really like beyond the cruise port.
If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.